Good evening, everyone. Phil here, and welcome to the Daily Wrap for what was Sunday, the 28th of May, 2023. A great day of full gameplay streaming and great progress in the games in which we're looking to make progress and hopefully, either finish up or get really far in before we get to new releases in June. On today's Level 1 podcast, nothing too super particular to talk about, but there were a couple ideas for DSP Reacts that we discussed, some ideas for improvement. There were some issues people seem to have with the way the channel works that we discussed a little bit back and forth with. And, it was a good show in that regard. No real news or anything to talk about today. I'm not surprised. I really don't foresee a lot of news coming out of anything until the digital events that are happening in early June. So we definitely opened it up to some Q&A and the like, and it was a good, chill show. Then we jumped into Star Wars Jedi Survivor for the second straight stream, because if you remember last night, it was the late stream that we did. Today was 3 solid hours of progress, although admittedly there was again a little bit of derailment and distraction where I ended up going into a new side area for about 45 minutes and got a whole bunch of new unlockable upgrades and things again, a bunch of optional boss fights, a bunch of skills. But for the most part, it was tons and tons and tons of story. We went through an entire dungeon in Kobo, and then went back to the main story, ended up going back to Jeddah, and then humongous updates and things in Jeddah. Let me just put it this way. By the end of the stream, there was some crazy occurrences in the plot, some twists and turns I did not foresee coming. I had an inkling something was going to happen, but what ended up unfolding at the end of the stream, I was genuinely surprised. I was like, whoa, I did not see that coming in the plot. So it was good. Now, the game performed pretty poorly in certain parts, frame rate dipping and everything. No game crashes or horrible bugs today, so that was obviously a good thing. So really cool abilities. I can now group lift enemies and decide what I want to do with them. When they're lifted up, I can either push them and try to throw them off ledges or whatever. I can slam them to the ground. I can hit them up there. If I have another ability like the pinball lightsaber, I can charge up and toss and just bounce them all up while they're all up there vulnerable. It's pretty good. These force abilities in this game are quite good. The one I haven't done is the mind control. I completely ignored that while I'm leveling up all the other force abilities. And it's working out well. Now that we're heading into the end game of the game, these abilities have made me quite powerful. And basically at the end of today's stream, there was a big twist in the gameplay as well. Not only the plot, but the gameplay. And I'm actually very much looking forward to play it again because we're in a really epic part. When I ended the stream, people were like, oh, are you kidding me? It's like a huge blue balls feeling cliffhanger. It's like, yeah, what are you going to do? We'll play it again tomorrow night, okay? Now, here's the thing. Attendance was okay. It wasn't great for Star Wars. One really generous super chat that came right at the beginning of the stream. Outside of that, it was nearly dead. We didn't even hit the tier 1 tip skull. And pretty much almost no other support. So, Star Wars is effectively dead, and I knew it was. You know what I'm saying? Like, this game would have been very popular and exciting if the game performed well, ran good on console, and if I'd played more of it at launch, which I didn't do because the game ran like shit. Though when this game ran like shit, all interest for the game kind of died out. And that's not just me, because I know for a fact, my wife and I watched a few other streamers and content creators, and in particular, when we find a playthrough like this that I'm enjoying and we want to follow along someone else, play it after the fact, 2 different people who we actually usually would play a game like this started the game, and because it performed so poorly, they quit their playthroughs and never went back. They just dropped them cold turkey and said, screw this, we're not going to waste our time on a game that runs like shit. A lot of content creators rushed through this game and did no side content and only did story and beat it the first week. Here I am a month after the game came out, still playing it. So I'm not shocked that no one really cares about the playthrough. I'm sorry, I know it's a very small audience that I'm really playing it for. Personally, I like it. I'm sad that the game turned out the way it did because I do feel the game is a great game that is ruined by its bad performance. So, had fun, great progress, little to no support. What can you do, right? On tonight's late stream, it was Final Fantasy V Pixel Remaster. Great progress tonight. This was actually the most productive Final Fantasy V stream we've had the entire playthrough. Just listen to this. So, we had finished up the Phoenix Tower last time, which was my mistake because I had accidentally turned encounters off. I turned them back on. First thing we did is we got to the second dungeon. The second dungeon is actually, it was on the big bridge this time. So in this final world, there's 3 worlds in Final Fantasy V. In the final world, the 2 worlds merge into one. And so the second major dungeon is actually on the big bridge that you already had done a whole thing on earlier in the game. So we went there, we did the whole dungeon. It was challenging and was basically the whole first hour of the stream. Okay? When that dungeon was done, we went and got more legendary weapons, which we used right away. And then we said, well, what do we want to do next? We got about an hour left. Well, a new super dungeon opened up. This is one of the dungeons you have to do to advance in the plot. It's called the Fork Tower. Now, this is unique. This tower is half magic, half melee. You have to use either magic or melee on each side. If you don't, they'll insta-kill you, okay? So you split your party into two small parties. One is all physical, one is all magic, and you go for it. It was challenging, but we ended up going through that tower and completing it, which unlocked the ultimate spells for us of those respective classes. Then I only had like maybe 15, 20 minutes left on the stream. I was like, what can I do? And people were like, well, what happened is you unlock the submarine at this point in the story. There's a secret underground tower that you have to beat in 7 minutes. And if you beat it in 7 minutes, you get a really good item or whatever. So it's the underground tower of Waltz, which used to be, earlier on in the first world, but it sunk at one point in the plot. So now you go into it and you go through, and it's a really fun tower, challenging enemies, a cool, unique boss fight at the end. We ended up unlocking one of the best jobs in the game, and that was the end of the stream. So we beat not one, not two, 3 different dungeons on tonight's stream. By the way, for the most part, the audience was great. People were positive, they were fun, we were having fun conversation, interactions about all kinds of things, Final Fantasy included, and the stream tonight was much more supportive than the earlier stream was. We excelled over the first tip's goal. Super chats were decent, and it was more than one person doing a super chat. It was pretty good. So thank you to anyone who was there for Final Fantasy V. A smaller audience, yet, support was great, okay? So, what are we doing tomorrow, Monday the 29th? Well, Level 1 podcast in the morning. Once again, I really doubt that we're going to have much to talk about in the realm of game news. I have an announcement, though. I have received some new borders and artwork for the podcast that are Street Fighter related. I have 3. 2 of them are Street Fighter 6. One of them is old school Street Fighter, okay? And what I'd like to do is start using them, but I feel like maybe using it tomorrow is too early and I jumped the gun, so I think I'll hold off, and maybe I'll start using them when I get back from my break on June 1st, this Thursday. But anyway, podcast in the morning. And then after that is Zelda Breath of the Wild. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, continuing on. And my goal tomorrow in Tears of the Kingdom is to move towards and get to the next major dungeon, okay? I'm not saying I'm going to get to the dungeon and do it. I'm just saying I'd like to advance in that way and hopefully reach it. Because last stream was a lot of fumbling, a lot of exploration, and we didn't really definitively do much. I'd like to hit some shrines up this time, do some upgrades to Link, and hopefully get to the next dungeon by the end of the stream, okay? Tomorrow night, late stream, more Jedi Survivor, and this is going to be a hot one. Seriously, we're in the midst of a crazy, epic part of the game. Can't wait to see how it goes, and from what I'm being told, between tomorrow night's stream and then the main stream on Tuesday, 5 more hours, if I just do story, I will likely beat Jedi Survivor. So I'm excited to see how it's all going to end in the next couple of streams, all right? Hope you guys will show up tomorrow, and if you can support, thank you. It would be great to maybe have a turnaround from today, especially because we're doing Zelda, and Zelda has been a favorite as of late. Keep in mind, this is all part of the build-up for Street Fighter 6 on Friday. Okay, guys? Thank you all so very much. Please have a good evening. Thanks for a great streaming day. See you in the morning. Peace out.